everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful springtime in Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And filling in for Rachel, I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, something imminent is about to happen. Well, at least in 10,000 years. And
it could happen at any moment.
Within the next 10,000 years. And that's, we want to talk about supernova and events in the heavens and their effects down here on Earth. And the one that's going to be quite the display is Betelgeuse. Yeah. And but we'll pray none of us will be alive to see it. But
I think if we all get together and we say the name of that star 3 times, maybe we can make it happen.
Indeed. Oh, if only chanting could make it so.
Right.
But first, we should probably continue with our announcement about our 600th episode.
Oh, my gosh.
That's coming up in a very, very short amount of time. It's going to be June 3rd at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. We're going to be doing a live recording of the show online. You can join us. Email us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Put 600th episode in the subject line, and we'll add you to the mailing list.
We really do want you guys to be a part of it. It would be great to have you all there, and you'll get to see, you'll see some behind the scenes stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
Those who don't make it will just not know what goes on behind the scenes. And
so
then
good.
also you'll get to see, you might have an opportunity to ask us a question if you care about that, and if you don't, it's just going to be a good time.
It'll be fun.
It's just going to be fun.
Q&A.
So what do people do if they want to participate? Did we say that?
I just said it. Yeah.
You write into us. Yeah.
And put 600th episode in the subject line. That's how we're gonna. We've caught some. We've seen some come in that didn't have that already. It's fine. We are catching it.
If you forget what the subject line we prescribe is, we'll probably figure it out if it says, live stream or something. But let's try to keep the number 600 in there.
Yeah. All right.
The number 600 is an easy marker for us to see.
Going forward, let's all just try to get on board with that.
Can we just follow instructions, people? Is it so hard?
All right. Well, first though, Dan, we got news of the week. Stuff happened.
Yes. Various and sundry events occurred.
This first one, Dan, has me really just sort of broken up. Because I was really rooting for these two.
Oh, no.
This is the story of Lauren and Jason Boebert.
The Boeberts.
The Boeberts themselves, they've been married for like 18 years. And they're just such a darling, darling couple. Lauren Boebert has filed for divorce.
Oh, no. First Marjorie Taylor Greene, now Boebs.
Oh, my God.
Low Boebs.
I know. Citing irreconcilable differences. Oh, she just cannot get along with Jason anymore, who apparently took the news really hard. Apparently, he assaulted the person serving him the divorce papers or something.
Oh, wow.
he went off the rocker, apparently.
It's so shocking when someone that has built their entire identity around weapons and violence just as a sort of conceptual thing. It's so shocking when they suddenly are not good at controlling their emotions and end up lashing out at someone.
I know.
You just don't see it coming.
It's hard to imagine. I know. This is from her statement on the topic. Oh, it is with a heavy heart. Oh, wait, no. It is with a heavy weight in my heart that I have filed for divorce from my husband. Now, get this. This is a little bit of protesting too much sort of thing here. I've always been faithful in my marriage. That's the first thing she says. I've always been faithful in my marriage. That's her
differentiating herself from Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I am not like that other one.
And I believe strongly in marriage, which makes this announcement that much more difficult. This is truly about irreconcilable differences. I do not intend to discuss this matter any further in public. And but this is from the woman who not very long ago, had this advice for other women.
And if you start chasing Jesus with everything that you have, I promise you, your husband will chase you chasing Jesus. To be able to speak life into a marriage that seems like it's ending is so powerful.
So wait, was this after she announced a divorce, or this was before?
No. This was before she announced the divorce. So this is what she's had to say on the topic of marriage and divorce, right?
Yeah.
Like she's been up, she's spent a lot of time advocating for this idea of like strong families and having Jesus, you know, I don't know if she's one of these like have Jesus as your third, you know, or whatnot, but like that's basically, you know, you chase Jesus and your husband's gonna chase you.
It's a menage a cross.
That's really damn. Don't say stuff like that. That makes me laugh.
Yeah, it would be bad if you laughed on a show that's supposed to be kind of funny. Anyway,
no, but it just, you know, like, you know, you can get married, don't get married. Get a divorce, don't get a divorce. What do I care? Right. Why would I bring this up on the show that somebody out there in the world is getting a divorce? Well, it's sorry guys, like if this is your platform, right? If this is what it is, like irreconcilable differences, that's no fault divorce. Right? Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that the Republican Party is starting to like go after. There's people in the Republican Party who want to see an end to no fault divorce.
Yeah.
And if you're like preaching that oh my God, family, marriage, have babies, then, you know, maybe don't get off the marriage train at the irreconcilable differences stop, right? Like,
literally what she has done inadvertently is admitted to either A, she was just talking a bunch of bullshit about, you know, chase Jesus and he'll chase you, or
which she's
admitting she didn't chase Jesus enough. Those are the two possibilities that she has that her divorce has made clear. So I mean, first of all, don't take any kind of relationship advice from this type of a person.
Right.
That's obvious.
Probably don't take relationship advice from a stump speech from a politician. Like that's not where you're going to find much that's useful in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so sad. And, these two, what a sweet, they were just high school sweethearts, you know, like getting, she had her first kid at 16. Again, nothing terribly wrong with that. If that's, you know, how you want to, that's what you're doing. Right. It's definitely too young.
It's young.
It's young. I mean,
that's the kind of thing. That's really hard. The kind of thing where it can work, but no, don't do that.
I mean, look, she's an inspiration.
She's an inspiration
because
to us all.
She was a teen mother, a teen bride, and now she's in Congress.
Yeah,
she's an elected hypocrite in office. Yeah,
it's just so gross.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us to California, where only good things happen. Last year, AB 587. This is a bill that Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law last year in September, and basically this was a law that required social media companies to file their plan for getting rid for removing hate speech, removing disinformation, extremism, harassment, foreign political interference, all of these sorts of things. This law was meant to hold social media companies and online, the online companies that that foster the exchange of ideas. This is meant to hold them accountable in some way.
Yeah.
For the dissemination of hate and bullshit. Well, there's a problem, and that is that Christians love hate and bullshit. Hate and bullshit is like their stock and trade. So of course, a group called the National Religious Broadcasters, which is an association of Christian media outlets, are joining a lawsuit to block this law.
What?
It's just such a bad look when there's a law that's there to curtail hate speech and disinformation, and you're like, no, wait a minute. We want to do those
That's
things.
what we do.
That's our whole thing.
Like, if we can't issue hate speech and disinformation, what's left? Talking about Jesus?
Yeah, what are we supposed to do? We're filling 24 hours a day here. At some point, it's going to revolve around, it's going to turn around to hate speech. I don't see how that's possible not to. They're screaming about their rights being curtailed, and you know, their free speech. I just don't think, do they know like what they're admitting to in wanting to block a law that was like, you know, put out, that was sort of championed by the Anti-Defamation League, and like, you know, we need something to at least sort of slow the onslaught of hatred and misinformation and lies from other countries.
Yeah.
You know,
they probably see it as politics makes strange bedfellows, right? From their perspective, they're like, "Ooh, I can't believe we're getting in bed with these people." But
yeah,
you know,
but honestly, if
us and 4chan, like, we're the ones.
Yeah, if your great objections somehow align you with like the Nick Fuenteses of the world, you should be doing some serious reconsidering. You should be doing some introspection, because woof, that's not great.
Yeah.
It is not a great look.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
We often on this show talk about polls and polling numbers and whatnot that
we love them.
that reveal the demise of and downfall of religion in America.
Yeah.
Through the numbers of how many people are leaving religion and the rise of the nuns. That's the none of the aboves, right? The people who don't name any religion, which includes atheists and people who describe themselves as agnostics. And anybody who's just like, I don't care. I don't know what's going on. Right.
Right. My religion is NASCAR.
You know what? I wish. But one thing that I think have missed in a lot of these numbers is the churn that's taking place in American religious folk. That there's this churn amongst the various different faiths of people leaving one, and instead of joining us, delightful nuns, they go find another religion. And the numbers are actually kind of interesting on this.
Okay.
Let's see. In the most recent Public Religion Research Institute survey, they found that a quarter of Americans say that they've changed religious traditions or denominations over their lifetime or recently. That's a 50% jump from 2021, when 16% said they had switched. And people who are members of other non-Christian religions, or sort of the religiously unaffiliated, which I guess are the nuns, were the most likely to say that they had switched from a different religious tradition. And that's about 37, 38% of the the respondents. About 1 in 4 Protestants of color, white evangelical Protestants, and Hispanic Protestants say they previously practiced or followed another religious tradition. So,
I mean, but if you're talking about like I left Pentecostalism for Baptistism, is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's just the
that just seems like you just left one. You left one form of the same religion for another form of the same religion.
I think though that the point is in sort of some of these numbers that I'm about to get to, which is among those who switched, 56% said that they changed because they stopped believing in the religion's teachings, which is interesting. So that group would not be people who you moved from Pentecostal to Baptist unless they were just like, I just don't know about this snake handling shit. Right.
Yeah.
Which is possible. Right.
Sure.
But about 30% said negative religious teachings about or treatment of LGBTQ plus people forced them to change.
Yeah.
So I think what you're seeing a lot of is people who are Baptist or whatever, and they're moving to something, some Christian light type thing like the Anglican Church.
The nice Christians.
The nice Christians who don't seem to be very Christian anymore. Only 17%, though, said that they switched because their church or congregation became too political. Right.
Interesting.
So
still 17% is not small.
But it does say that the vast majority of people are probably okay with their religion being fairly political, because we know how political speech over the pulpit has become in America. Right. So yeah, the rest of this is a lot of numbers that we're already sort of familiar with, that we talk about, like Gen Z, which are people aged 11 to 26. They're switching and shunning religion faster as young adults.
Good kids. Good going.
Yeah. Than any other Americans. Right. And that is expected to continue as they enter adulthood. And so, yeah, I think it's really interesting that, that people are generally finding a lot of dissatisfaction with the religion that they grew up in for whatever reason, right? It's too conservative, or it's not conservative enough, whatever it is. People are really feeling free to move about right now and to go find something different. And it kind of raises the question of like, how do we make sure that we're over here as like a nice, shining example of how you could be living your lives, right?
Yeah.
Completely free of religion. And that's obviously part of these numbers is some of that, but how do we just get more people to just come our way?
How do we make this look? I mean, and we've talked about visibility. I think a lot of this is just the more openly, happily out atheists we can have in the world.
Yeah.
That are just happy to say that they're atheists and just out living their lives. The easier it will, the more it will look like that's a thing that's possible and not awful and not,
Yeah.
So
just everybody keep doing what you're doing. It's working.
Yeah, we're making it happen.
But it's
just going to get better and better.
I know.
Well, I mean, it might get worse before it gets better. I'm going to tell us this next story is weird. It's not. It's a positive story. I'm just going to say that it's a positive story. So what has happened is that the former Archbishop of York in the Church of England. Now, the Archbishop of Canterbury is like the head honcho of the C of E, and York is kind of like second in command. Archbishop of York is a very important person.
Okay.
In the Church of England. This guy wasn't, he was sort of retired from that position, but now he is retired from everything.
What?
Because he's been forced to step down after he was after a review of everybody, of a whole bunch of people, came down, and this is about how the church handled it when they were made aware of some priest abuse, some abuse of a parishioner.
Oh, not somebody abusing a priest.
No, they that should happen a little bit more often.
Depends on what you're talking about.
Yes, indeed. No, this was so back in the 80s, a 16-year-old kid was abused by a priest, according to him, and then later made it known. Now, this guy went on to become a vicar himself.
Oh, wow.
He's a man named Matthew Innocent, who then sort of made it known that this Reverend Trevor, very long, hard to pronounce last name, was had abused him. Having told the senior clergy about the abuse, including Lord Sentamu, who was then the Archbishop of York, nothing happened. I guess the Trevor Reverend guy, the abuser, basically they didn't really do anything. Eventually, charges were filed against the abuser and in civil court, and he actually the abuser ended up killing himself the day he was supposed to appear in court.
Ooh, wow!
But an inquiry into how this was handled once the church was made aware of the information has led to a number of people, including Lord Sentamu, who's the former Archbishop of York. People are having to step down. They're actually there's actually a little bit of accountability. They're being held to account.
What?
So
you said this is a church,
right?
What?
I mean, technically, it's the church doing the right thing after they did the wrong thing. It would have been nice if they had done the right thing at the time. That would have been good.
Right, but that would have that would have my head just pop off.
It's so funny, right? Because this wasn't back in the 80s that the guy made the clergy aware of this abuse. It was in 2013. So they've had plenty of time to get some systems in place to really figure their shit out and figure out how to support victims, how to get rid of dangerous clergy, all of that sort of thing. So the fact that nothing happened, it is a little shocking that could ever still be the case. It still happens all the fucking time.
Right.
And, for his part, for the Archbishop, through his handler, his whatever mouthpiece, said that, it wasn't his job to make the things happen. That was a lower guy's job. But guess what? If anybody finds out about clergy abuse, and you're in a position to do something about it, it becomes your job. That's your job now. Yeah. I don't see what more important job do you have than to prevent one of your priests from abusing children.
It's a very bureaucratic organization. And
well, you see, I had TPS reports that I had to fill out, and I wasn't able. I'm afraid I just don't have the time.
The victim went to Windows 12 when they were explicitly told to go to Windows 6.
He only filed the form in duplicate. It's a triplicate form. Triplicate.
Good Lord. Well, some accountability.
That's accountability is what passes for good news on the TGIA show.
Oh, golly. What a bleak topic that one is. All right.
Yep.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
This next story, I do have to say, is disturbing, and could be maybe even a little scary to some people. But I think it's actually really important that we all hear this and that we're aware and that's why I'm bringing it up on the show. And this has to do with the Proud Boys. And
I don't like those boys.
And what they're calling Proud Month, which is their answer to Pride Month.
Yeah.
And they are apparently, according to people who pay attention to these things and monitor hate groups like the Proud Boys, they have been growing since the attack on the United States Capitol, instead of diminishing in numbers like other groups have. They're actually they've been growing.
Right.
They are more active than ever, despite the sedition convictions of 4 of their leaders.
Yeah.
I guess former leaders at this point. And
I wouldn't count on it. They might still
that's
be
true.
leaders,
Anyway,
point.
they've been organizing very much so online. And they are planning anti-Pride protests throughout the country.
Yeah.
And they are going to be accompanying those with social media campaigns as recruitment tools to try to lure more people into their anti-gay, anti-trans, white supremacy, sort of horrible little organization. They have roughly 190 loosely affiliated regional chapters. If that doesn't terrify you,
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's the article that I read about this pointed out that there were at least 174 anti-LGBTQ plus demonstrations last year, and that number is expected to be much larger this year.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is not to scare people into maybe not going to Pride.
No.
Because now more than ever is when we should be going to Pride. It's getting back to our society is forcing us to shift back to what Pride used to be, which was a show of force, or a show of numbers, not a show of
show
force.
Of numbers.
A show of numbers, allowing our allies to come out, and allowing us to feel, how many there are of us and how strong the community is. Right.
Yeah.
And, for the last, depending on where you are, I suppose, but for the last couple decades, Pride events have been celebrations rather than political stands. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that we now more than ever, we need to be showing up. But it's really important that if you do go, you should probably just be smart, right? Stay with your group of friends, I would say, is probably pretty good advice when you're not maybe inside the festival.
Keep yourself safe.
Yeah. Walking to and from the event can probably be kind of a vulnerable moment. A couple years ago, I got called a fag at Harmon's shopping for hot dogs on Pride weekend.
Nice.
That was
That's
nice.
Great.
Yeah. So you got to be careful out there. You never know where it's going to happen. It can even happen in the hot dog section in
Salt Lake City, Utah, of all places.
Very expensive grocery store. But
our hate here, the hate in Salt Lake is supposed to be quiet.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be subtle.
Yeah.
And passive.
But here are some of their ideas. These are some things that they're going to be staging in June, or at least ideas that they're trying to promote. They want to do a Proud Boys story time, featuring members of their group reading American history to kids while wearing a Perry. That's a reference to the Fred Perry polo shirts, the black and yellow polo shirts that they like to wear. Kind of
when are these guys going to realize that boring kids does not have the power that entertaining them has? Drag Queen Story Hour works because it's fun
and the kids want to go.
The kids want to go.
These kids have parents, though. The parents will make their kids go, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Some members floated plans for doing banner drops. That would be hanging banners from bridges and overpasses, promoting sort of anti-gay hate. Let's see. They want to be online, they want to be trolling, triggering, and gaslighting the libs. And they want to
Sounds great.
take back the meaning of pride. Taking back June is another important one. I think that's actually hashtag taking back June is something that they're using. Also, apparently they want to take over the name Juneteenth.
Oh God!
As
of course they do.
Yeah,
of course they do.
They want to do a rival Juneteenth that they see as a national day of cookouts, drinking, and a celebration to help, quote, break the chains of Pride Month. This, of course, Juneteenth is a day commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. that has risen to prominence. In fact, being named a federal holiday 2 years ago, I think.
No, it wouldn't have been Trump that did it.
Wouldn't 2 years ago?
Oh no, that would have been 3 years ago. So yeah 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago, because I feel like it was 2 years ago. I remember being surprised, and then like that. Oh my God, I get this day off, and then last year it was like, I get this day off. And so so this is happening out there in the world. Everybody be aware of it. Let's show our strength for and our support for the gay community. It's a good year to show up to Pride.
The Proud Boys are the worst members of the LGBTQ community. I just think
they're giving Pride or being proud a bad name.
They really are. They really are. Mm-hmm. Listen, here's the hot tip for everybody. If your group, when you guys do marches or when you have get-togethers, covers their face, if everybody's covering their faces, you're in the wrong group. You're in a bad group.
Yeah,
that's the wrong one. All right. Well, you kind of put a damper on my final story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. Lift us up, Dan.
Well, we'll see. So speaking of LGBTQ and drag, there is the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a baseball team. For those of you who don't know, they have a Pride Day where the gays can come to the baseball, I suppose, or Pride Night, I suppose. And they were going to have and honor a group, an LGBTQ group that has done a lot of good humanitarian work out there. But there were protests, and this wasn't just Proud Boy protests. The group in question is the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. This would be a sort of they do nun drag. And so they go out into the world as sort of naughty nuns. They're frequently wearing a habit and then, leather gear or whatever. There's a variety. If you know anything about drag groups, there's a melange of looks. But it's all sort of centered on the theme of nunnery. They have been cordially disinvited by the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Ew. Boo!
After a bunch of groups, Catholic groups, went into a bit of an uproar.
Oh, the Catholics.
Because it's, it's kind of making fun of their whole thing.
Oh, God.
One prominent Catholic who raised a stink was one Senator Marco Rubio. Why do I have to say those words together? Senator Marco Rubio. That's just gross, you guys. Florida, get your act together, please. Anyway,
you're talking to the wrong state, Dan.
I know.
They're not getting their act together anytime soon.
Yeah, let's release more snakes into Florida. We just need to do something. Anyway, Marco Rubio and members of Catholic Vote all submitted letters to the Dodgers organization. And, Rubio himself said that the group, quote, mocks Christians through diabolical parodies of our faith. I don't know about diabolical. How about delightful parodies of your faith? I agree that it is a parody of your faith. I just don't see the diabolicalness.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. Here's where I'm about to take a controversial stance.
Uh-oh.
I love this group. I think that making fun of Catholicism, one of the groups that most oppresses you, and sort of taking that and making it your own thing, I'm on board with that entirely. That makes total sense to me as a gimmick. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, flip it on its head, do what you want with it. But I also understand an organization not wanting to get in bed with a group that is, I would say, I understand Catholics being genuinely offended by this. So I'm a little of two minds on this one, to be perfectly honest. If I were running a baseball team, I mean, I definitely wouldn't retract an invitation. If I've sent the invitation,
that's where I was going to go.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you've already said, "Hey, we're going to honor you," you honor them.
Yeah,
that's it.
Because there's a slap in the face that that you've just done. That's really, really ugly.
Right.
Right.
You let the majority people
them slap each other in the face. You don't slap them in the face.
Right. You let the group in power, which is the Christians, the fucking Catholics, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Let them lick their wounds. Let them have some bent feelings, and you don't further marginalize the marginalized group.
Yeah. Let them raise some funds, because of this. Because they will.
I mean, this will probably help the sisters.
Oh, this, yes. In the end, they're going to come out and be just fine, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, just because there's more Catholics than there are of the sisters, just because you have this big organization with lots of money that and rich Catholics that you just pissed off, right? This
is the place where
you need to think about, what was that?
Well, what I was going to say is just that I think we can be, we don't need to be I'm going to start that over again because I just dropped a thing. I was just going to say, I don't think we need to be fully disingenuous about this. There are just individual Catholics who would have their feelings honestly hurt by this. And so it's not just the big money. I'm a big fan of blasphemy, but I'm not a fan of I don't know. We can also be somewhat respectful, not of hate beliefs, but at least of people's religious beliefs.
Why did the Dodgers kowtow? Why did they change their, I agree with you. There were going to be real people who had their feelings hurt. But why did they give in? Why did the team give in? It's because of the big names and the money. Let's face it. Right? That's why they gave in.
And if they were if somebody, you can see it coming a mile away when they're licking their chops to make big political hay out of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, as an organization, if you're the Dodgers, you don't want to be in the crosshairs of that melee. Those 3 days on Fox News where all they talk about is woke Dodgers and blah, blah, blah. Nevertheless,
they would have survived it just fine.
They would have survived it. This was a bad choice on their part.
And they never, ever, if that's not what if they didn't want that, then they never should have invited them in the first place.
Right.
And that was their mistake. Right. in being so accepting.
Well, they should have. I mean, the correct choice for the Dodgers is to choose a less controversial LGBT, but an LGBT group that does good work.
Yeah.
So they made a mistake.
Yeah.
They didn't. They played their cards wrong. But you know what? Once you've done it, you got to stick to it.
I think so. Yeah.
Or else you're a dick. And now it is the official position of the TGIA podcast that the LA Dodgers suck, and you shouldn't be a fan of their team.
Well, and I'm going to go one further, which is I'm never, ever going to watch the Dodgers
game
again.
You know what? I believe you. I believe you're making that commitment right now.
I'm never going to do it.
I'll tell you
so
what,
mad.
the Dodgers haven't been good since they left Brooklyn. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Well, if you would like to chime in on this or any of our stories this week, please feel free to do so. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
And if you'd like to send us a voicemail message, we'd love to hear your voice. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
More show coming up. Well, Frank.
Dan.
Jesse Duplantis. Do you know that name?
No.
He's an old dude now, but he's a prosperity gospel guy.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to teach us about U.S. history, which is it's always good when you get your history from the preachers. They get it right every single time. And just because this is literally made up out of whole cloth and not supported by probably any evidence at all, doesn't mean he's wrong. So let's just let the preacher tell us about the founding of the United States of America.
Oh, good.
Now, the author of the Constitution of the United States is President James Madison, who was the fourth president of the United States. But he had this vision that God placed in him. You see, what they wanted was not a United States of America. They wanted free and independent states. So each they could do their own thing, free and independent states. But that's not power. So these four men had the vision. So what happened when James Madison was he's called the author of the Constitution, he was supposed to say, we the people of free and independent states. That's the way it was supposed to happen. But God changed the word on the day that he spoke it there for the Constitution. He said, we the people of the United States. In order to perform a more perfect union, the preamble. And so what happened is God united this United States together at that day under a document called the Constitution of the United States.
Wait, that's not right?
The on the last minute. First of all, I like the idea that the Constitution was spoken first. What you do is you say the words of the Constitution,
and somebody rapidly writes it down.
Someone's frantically scribbling off in the corner.
Scribes. They had a team of scribes just waiting for them to speak it.
Oh my gosh. The thought, first of all, the right wing is super into states' rights and separate powers and stuff, and he just completely undercut that.
Yeah. That's
with his little story.
It's thoroughly confusing to me.
It's a very confusing moment
because but see, here's the thing. As they see themselves gaining more and more political power.
Oh, yes.
In
the federal government.
They all of a sudden are starting to become more fans of the idea of the federal government controlling everything.
Yes.
But when they feel like they only have local power, then they hate the federal government.
Right.
It's all about local and state rights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing from that.
I don't see how you could interpret it other than that. That is exactly what it is. All right. Well, we had some folks write into us and call into us, so let's get to that. This is from Chris, who says, "Hi, Frank and Rachel, and Dan, if you're back. Just finished listening to your dreams episode.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel's The Rock story inspired me to write in with something maybe a bit similar. You'll recall, I listened to this. It was great. But yes, Rachel last week admitted that she had a very saucy dream about Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
And it changed her life.
And has been a little ways beyond smitten ever since. Powerful things, these dreams.
Yeah.
Chris goes on, dreams have a funny way of both coming from your subconscious as well as implanting themselves into it. When I was a teenager, I dreamed I died.
Ooh.
I don't mean like die and go to heaven or something, or like falling and waking up just before impact. The scenario was a plane crash and me being in the blast radius, and I actually dreamed on for a bit before waking up. Just these few seconds of, oh, guess I'm dead now, followed by the realization that if I can think, then it means I'm still there. Then getting all excited and wanting to know more about this new state of being, only to be finally woken by my father's truly wall-shaking snoring from the other room. Quite disappointing, honestly. So, of course, I know one thing. This was a dream. But it also means that I cannot not believe in an afterlife now. I can and do know there is no other evidence, but belief is emotional for me, and it's deeply connected to this experience. I know you guys hate the word agnostic, but that's truly how I identify. I cannot know because I do not have enough data either way, but I have the experience of, seemingly, being reduced to a conscious essence of me, if that paints a picture for you. Here's the thing. By the way, just a quick explanation. We do not hate the word agnostic. We just don't find it useful. I think we're all agnostic. I think agnosticism just means you admit that you can't know. I admit that I can't know for sure whether or not there's a God. All I know is I don't believe in one. Anyway, is that how you feel about agnostic?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Anyway, so here's the thing. What I love about this email is that it does speak to the fact that once you've had a deeply emotionally resonant experience that feels psychologically significant, it's really hard to rational your way around it. And a lot of people can't / won't / don't want to do that. And I get it. I mean, I don't have that experience myself. I don't tend to dream. And I've never had something implanted, something that goes against my my sort of better rational judgment. I've never had something like that implant itself in me in that way, but I can understand how that could happen. I don't know. What do you do in that case?
Well, I mean, this sounds like it happened at a younger age, so it was formative, right? And it set a framework that that they like, that they respond to, that helps them understand the world, and that's that's fine. I haven't had an experience like that, and so it's hard to say. I have not had a profound sex dream about The Rock either, right? So I don't.
It's coming. That. You're gonna have it. You're gonna be like, I've never been attracted to big muscly guys like that, but damn if that dream didn't change my mind. If nothing else, I think I'm gonna invite all of us to use this moment as a place where we can just say, look, a lot of people are believers in religion, in things that don't make any kind of logical or rational sense. And they may have had experiences like this that have implanted themselves deeply in their subconscious minds, in their emotional minds, in their identity, as you know, and I think we can be sympathetic to that. I think we don't have to reject all believers as idiots or crazy people. You know what I mean? our human brains are fragile, stupid little things. They do amazing things, but they're also like buggy.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't worked out the kinks.
Well, yeah. Well, why did I have a dream about the devil? Right.
Right. Yeah.
You don't believe in the devil. I don't even like spend much time thinking about the devil. Right. I don't watch movies like creepy demonic type stuff. Right. Like that's just something that's not really around in my life. And so how did that pop up? Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dreams are crazy. And if you remember your dreams, which Dan sounds like you really don't, I don't always, but I remember quite a large number of them, sort of from time to time. And they're wacky and wild, and they can go crazy directions. And I don't know, I love a good dream, right?
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing like it. Because again, they're just so fantastical and weird, or can
I just
be.
think it's so, I think it's so funny. You know, I think about nightmares, and I think about the things that really kind of, you wake up and you feel a little fucked up for a while about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's your own brain doing that to you.
Oh yeah.
Shut up, brain. Why are you doing this to yourself? You're me. Why are we doing this to us?
Their brains suck.
Yeah. They're weird critters, and they're not easy.
But
anyway,
there's nothing you can do. It's just the brain you got.
Yep. We're stuck with them. All right. This one is anonymous, but it says, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I wanted to comment on Pope Francis's comments about having babies instead of dogs and getting pissy with the lady who asked to have her dog blessed. Does he not know that the saint he is named after? Saint Francis of Assisi, the Pope's namesake, is the patron saint of animals, according to the internet.
That's
It
true.
has become customary for Catholic and Anglican churches to carry out animal blessings on his feast day of October 4th.
Aww.
In light of this information, I feel he's being a bit of a dick, denying an animal a blessing. I think so, too.
Oh, yeah. Now, he's just being a dick.
Stop being a dick, Pope. God. Pope's always being a dick. All right. We have a voicemail, do we not?
We do indeed. This is from a listener who shares their experience with sleep paralysis. It's continuing the discussion that we had about dreams last week. And I'm just going to say, I don't know if you've ever experienced sleep paralysis, Dan.
I have not.
Ugh, it's
I've
awful.
read about it, though. It's terrifying.
But this account is way beyond anything I've ever experienced. So
prepare to be harrowed. Here we go.
I was listening to the last episode where Frank was talking about his dream where Satan came and chased him. And how if you were Catholic, if you were Christian, if you believed in Satan, then that would be a very compelling dream. But, what takes that a step further is sleep paralysis. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's basically the opposite of sleepwalking. If you sleepwalk, then your body wakes up, but your mind doesn't. So you're walking around and you don't even know. But if you have sleep paralysis, your mind wakes up, but your body doesn't. So I've had sleep paralysis since I was like 5 years old. I still have it, but I used to have it a lot more when I was really young. I would wake up, my eyes would open, but you couldn't move your body. And dreams become indistinguishable with the real world in a lot of situations. So you see your dream in real life. And I was raised Catholic, so I was always told that Satan was coming for me and he wanted to send me to hell. Satan was coming for me, and Satan comes to people. I heard about saints, and I heard about Satan appearing to saints and the saints saying, "Back down, Satan," But when I was 5 years old and I woke up, and people see sleep paralysis demons, okay? So you wake up, you can't move. Your eyes are darting around, but none of your body is moving, and it's fucking scary, okay? It's so scary if you don't know what's going on. I would wake up and I would see Satan in my room. And it was the scariest shit in the world. I thought I was being possessed. I thought I was being personally targeted by Satan. And what I now know was insecurity was literally being screamed at to me by what I thought was Satan himself. you are stupid, you are weird, nobody fucking likes you, you're, just all that shit as a little person, just anything that I could imagine, like, you're stupid, you're weird, you're stupid, you're weird, and I thought it was real. That's how terrifying this stuff can be. And it is so real to so many people. And I don't know how unique my situation is, but it was something, I'll tell you that. Anyways, just one more reminder that religion is scary. Thank you so much.
A slide whistle at the end. That's a hell of a way to end a sleep paralysis. I think Satan should always, all of his approaches should end with a slide whistle.
It should just be his curse.
Yeah. I've read lots of accounts of sleep paralysis and how people thought it was, a demon or
like sitting on your chest,
a witch. Yeah. Often sitting on your chest or holding
you can't
down.
move. Yeah.
So scary.
Oh, God. I had some sleep paralysis just the other night, but
oh, really?
Yeah. Well, the morning I woke up and I've never really had what was described in the voicemail.
The sort of hallucinations.
Yeah, it's literally just me laying there and I can't move.
Interesting.
And I'm trying. And it's really it's so terrifying. Just that in and of itself, just the inability to move and to like get up, right? Like just to like turn over or just fully wake up, right? Is God,
that's scary.
Just
that's
awful.
Scary enough without any devils involved.
Yeah, having seeing the devil and having them, him yell at you and yelling really awful things at you. Oh,
yeah, not traumatizing at all. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're fine.
That just sounds absolutely terrifying and awful.
I'm traumatized just by hearing it.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right. Tate wrote into us to say, "Hey, Frank and Dan, I'm writing belatedly in response to your interfaith segment in episode 593. I agree that it's important that atheists be present in the interfaith movement. Recently, my workplace started a voluntary interfaith business resource group." That freaks me out. When faith and business start overlapping, I get a little weirded out. Anyway, where we have meetings to learn about religion and discuss the complexities of being a believer or non-believer in the workspace. I'm uncomfortable being out as an atheist at work, but there's always the lingering concern that I could be judged or discriminated against. However, I decided I needed to be open about my atheism because I have a lot of privilege other atheists don't have, like financial stability, plus I'm cis, straight, white. So at these BRG meetings, I always announce I'm an atheist whenever I make a comment. It's frankly nerve-wracking, but I feel like it's worth the risk to get some visibility among other believers.
That's fantastic. Wow.
After one of these meetings, a coworker reached out to me privately to thank me for being open. She is a queer person who works in our diversity and inclusion department, and she explained she feels safe being out as queer at work, but not out as atheist.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Our company claims they want us to bring our whole selves to work, but I think it's clear we have a long way to go before everyone is safe to do that. Yeah, It's not safe for everyone to be out, but I especially appreciate it when people come out even when it isn't safe, because there is risk there, but that's when it's even more important and probably more impactful.
Yeah. Well, and it takes those initial people coming out who've done their sort of risk assessment, right? Yeah. To make it safer for the people who might actually be, it is too risky for them at this point. Yep. But the more that the people who it's a little bit risky, they come out, you get more and more of those, normalize, atheism in whatever your workplace or situation is, then others can also feel safe. I think it's a really important email, actually.
Yep.
So
there you go. All right. Well, we have some people to thank, and I'm going to start us off by thanking a new deacon, who is David. Thank you so much over on PayPal. Thank you for becoming a deacon. Congratulations on the magic power of delivering bread. Among other amazing
magical,
magic powers.
wonderful things.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Do you have some people you need to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have a new priest by the name of Remy.
Ooh, Remy.
So welcome and thank you, Remy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If you'd like to join the supporters of the show, you can do so. Go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab, and there's options there.
You know, the biggest magic power that you get when you become a patron of our show and you were granted the Frank and Dan priesthood is that you're a good person. It makes you a better person when you give to our show. That's
Indeed.
automatic.
And you can also support the show by leaving us a kind 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to us on.
Yeah, that's good too.
And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Mel Remy.
Thanks so much, everybody. More show coming up.
Hey, Dan.
Betelgeuse.
No, don't. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know it's such a mistake, Dan.
I'm playing with laws of the universe that I don't understand.
Well, you think you're being so clever, and you're going to get the star to go supernova, which apparently it has been threatening for a little while now.
It is on the verge.
Yeah.
Like cosmically, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's going to happen any cosmic moment.
Yeah, Betelgeuse is behaving very, very strangely right now, brightening and dimming and whatnot. Yeah. And that, if you're an observer of the sky, the constellation Orion specifically, which is an easy one to find, everyone. You might have already observed this. You could also go out and observe it, not in one moment, sort of over the course of weeks and whatnot.
Yes.
You can sort of notice that it dims and brightens a little bit.
This is your new hobby. You have to go out and look at Betelgeuse every night. That's your new hobby.
That's what you do. But yeah, I read an article. I sent it over to you, Dan. I think it was in Scientific American.
Yeah.
About Betelgeuse and sort of this current behavior and the fact that it's anticipated to go supernova sometime in the next 1,000 to 10,000 years.
Right.
Which
could be tomorrow. You never know.
You never know. But when it does go supernova, it's going. They say it'll probably be a quarter to a half of the brightness of the moon.
Yeah.
But in a single point of light. Which is also, so that it's going to be a super intense little bright speck. They say that on moonless nights, there would be still shadows cast by Betelgeuse at that point, which is
visible
also
during the day,
visible during in the daytime sky. Really just truly a remarkable thing. And I just hope I live 1,000 years so I can see it happen. Yeah. But that's not going to happen. So.
That's where medical science needs to aid astronomical science.
I really, really want to see this. And it's just not going to happen. But it sounds really cool. And it got me really sort of just thinking and fascinated and whatnot this week. But in the article, there's a kind of a funny little paragraph that caught my eye. And it was talking about how in ancient times, sort of, signs in the sky like supernovas, because this would not be the first supernova observable by humans. There have been supernovae that have appeared in the past. But ancient people sort of sort of lent meaning to it that of course wasn't there. They had superstitious reactions.
Yeah. It was an omen of some sort.
Exactly. Right.
It portended things.
Sure. But the article is sort of, because I think when we think about the ancient peoples, we're so quick to dismiss them as, those silly primitives, right? And there's silly superstitions. And the article pointed out that we probably won't fare much better, like if it happened today, right?
We might see the same thing. You never know.
That superstition would probably be a very big part of the human response to this. And that got my mind really going. Like that was almost a bigger reaction, that one little paragraph than to the idea of Betelgeuse going supernova.
Well, it's one of those things where if your mind is primed to believe that the universe gives you signs and messages, that rather than being, just a sort of a bunch of space where a bunch of rocks clanging against each other and random shit happens, that things are meaningful, that things have meaning, which, we're pattern seeking critters. Like, again, I think that one of the great themes of this episode is about how our brains are more than happy to participate in cognitive biases and problematic bad reasoning, but we want to see patterns, we look for patterns, and then we try to interpret those patterns. And it doesn't matter if there's no interpretation to be had, we'll impose an interpretation on a thing. We're totally good with that. So yeah, I think there are a lot of people who would see that, the night sky changing in a fairly dramatic way, and want that to have a meaning.
Yeah. Well, and like Christians in particular, and I know that this is also taught in other traditions, but they're on the lookout for the end of days and the end times, and that and they reference scripture that talks about signs in the heavens and whatnot, right?
Right.
And so if you're like a not even that fringe of a Christian sect, something like a supernova of this magnitude appearing in the sky for years, right? It would probably not last the length of a normal human lifespan, right? But they said that it would last years. And for that to appear in the heavens, man, like you don't need much more to happen. You add on an earthquake or something, or like,
oh man, you do that. We're sold, baby.
Yeah. Like people will be running out into the woods, starving themselves or drinking the Kool-Aid or doing whatever religious fanatics and cultists get talked into doing. Right. And so this thing that like my first reaction, and I think the reaction of our listeners would be one of awe and wonder and beauty and marveling at this wonderful thing that we get to see in this moment. Right.
Yeah.
And understanding what it is, right, and accepting that it's a star that's, I can't remember how many light years away it is. That blew
more
up.
Than one,
definitely more than one. But that blew up, and that's all it is, right? Yeah. And we
know that they do that, and we anticipated it, and it was predicted.
Yeah. Not by scripture, not predicted by scripture. Predicted by scientists who've been watching it for a very long time.
Well, here's the problem with not predicted by scripture. It probably was predicted by scripture in that someone wrote, holy shit, it's John of Patmos. There's some dude in a cave on an island in Greece wrote something about a star, burning extra bright or what. And that could mean anything. And it was probably meant to be metaphorical or whatever. But the second anything looks like it's fulfilling a prophecy,
Yeah.
then they're going to roll with that. They're going to run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're up against, everyone.
And then what's funny is, so you mentioned that to me. You know, when we were sort of going over this, you mentioned the idea that, you know, well, the Christians are going to see this as a sign, and who knows what's going to happen. And I was like, or they won't, because you catch them on the wrong day or something. It's like Pat Robertson with the weather. Sometimes it means that, you know, God is punishing us for having lesbians in the universe. And then sometimes it's just a weather phenomenon, and don't think too hard about it. Don't worry about it. It's just hot air rising, cold air falling. You know, you got a differential and you got two fronts that meet each other, and we know how this works.
Right.
So it just depends on who is screaming the most effectively in the moment.
As far as
of like
how many people will, what you're talking about is the how large of a group of people will be freaking out, because
exactly.
Because
how big is the panic?
There will be some fringe groups. They could not handle having something like that happen without having a crazy ass interpretation.
That's
right.
True.
They just can't. And then then it's more the question of I hate to say Pat Robertson's mainstream, but what do sort of the more mainstream, at least college educated, and in his case, Ivy League college educated individuals, what do those religious fanatics say about the event?
It's sad that we likely won't live to see the supernova, just because we want to see it, just because that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
But it's also sad because we won't get to see how the ding-dongs respond, and that would be fascinating.
I know.
Alas. Oh well, if you would like to predict, make a ding-dong prediction about a supernova or anything else in the world, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. We'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. We have one on Facebook and one over on Discord. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank you to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.